All right.
Hi guys, I'm Kevin,
I'm Meg.
and welcome to Pass the Aisle.
Welcome.
And we're doing the show on Monday because I had a wedding yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool.
Cool.
Yep.
So, how you feeling?
Good. Pretty good.
Good. It's been 7 days, and
Over 7 days.
Over 7 days, and you successfully accomplished your meal plan.
Yeah, meal plan. This is the first time ever I've been on a meal plan and have stuck to the meal plan because the motivation is very good. And I think it's also the first time that things are like kind of lining up. I was telling you earlier, like, oh, what are we going to talk about on the show? I was like, well, I have something to share, which is like in my journey in the 6 or 7 years since my first real big injury that kind of like domino effect all these other injuries and other ailments in my body. I feel like, which I haven't really developed purely yet, but I think it starts with understanding kind of like the pain map. So if you're dealing with pain or you're dealing with something painful, whether that be like emotional or physical, and I think the physical is the most, like it pings you. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest red flag because it hurts or something, right? So that's the thing that you would pay attention to the most. And if you could follow the breadcrumbs back to the source of those pain issues, then you can heal, right? And that sounds obvious, but like when you're in it or when you're in pain or maybe you've been in pain for a long time, you start to like give up. Sometimes you start to get disheartened. You start to settle with the idea like, oh, I'm old or I can't learn how to do it or I'm just going to be like this all the time. And I think a lot of people as they get saddled with pain or saddled with a condition, like even like losing your job, and what that does to you or something, or not working or whatever, like whatever condition that you're with for a long time, you start telling yourself like, oh, this is just how it is. Like, this is how I'm going to be. And you like give up, you know? And there was many times where I gave up. And I think that's why it took me so long to find progress. But I feel like this week and a half or something, or a couple of days has been really nice because I'm actually progressing in all the areas that it takes to actually heal. So what I've learned is that, yes, there's a physical component, there's a diet component, and there's all the obvious components, like are you getting enough nutrients? Are you exercising? Are you stretching? Are you, rehabbing? Whatever, like all the like obvious things. But then there was the emotional component, which it's like, how do you unpack that? Well, I think it starts with just understanding that there is an emotional component to healing or to why you have pain, or there could be a major reason why.
How was social component?
Social, I think that goes along with emotional.
Okay.
But I don't know, like how do you mean social? Like talking to friends or something?
Yeah, talking to friends or just spending time with friends.
I think that falls in emotional.
Okay.
Because a part of the biggest things, like I could get really in the weeds with this discussion, but there were many times where I thought about going to therapy. Yeah. And I was like, dude, I need somebody to help me. Like, I know that I have some emotional repression or emotional issues that are causing me pain. Okay, I'm sold on this idea, right? And then I was like, but how do I even do that? So one of the biggest reasons why I didn't go through with the online therapy, that's what I was really looking at, and I kept going back to it like maybe 3 times, was the cost. And then I was thinking, like, is it really worth it to spend $45 a session that is only online, it's not even in person, and it's just like chatting like this? And I was like, is it really worth it? And I thought to one of my biggest lessons in freeing myself from emotional repression was actually talking to the source of your issue, if they're still there, right? Like, so with you and I would tell you, oh, I would complain to everybody about my issues with you, but I would never talk to just you. And like the source or how we solved that was us just talking. And then the same thing with my mom. I was like, I would tell everybody, oh, why does my mom not want to talk to me or whatever? And then until I actually talked to her, then a lot of things started to lift and be like more enlightened and stuff like that. So, and then I finally start to see actual real physical progress from that. in terms of healing, in terms of feeling better or lighter and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, actually, I don't really think therapy was necessary for me. And that's great because it saved me money. I just really needed to just talk to the people who were here in my life. You know, like I have the opportunity and access to you guys to do that. Some people dealing with, say, emotional trauma or childhood trauma, a lot of times, maybe they don't have access to those people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Or
yeah, usually.
Or they're not willing, right? The other person has to be willing to even hear.
Either they're not willing or the person that influenced them mentally passed away, or they moved, and then that's when it really affects that person, and that person just,
because you never have closure, or you never
have closure.
And I'm so thankful, like with my mom, it's like you know, parents, they're gonna get older, or they're going to, like, eventually we will all die, right? And I always kind of like am a little bit, I have to prepare myself for that. Not to be morbid, but that's it's true, right? So we all think about our mortality, and I was like, I better do this, because if it is this something that's really bothering me, I should take the opportunity to talk to my mom and really just see, right? Because I was really afraid to have the conversation. I was like, but what if I get really old and I still feel this way? I'm still dealing with crippling anxiety because I never talked to my mom. And then when I was done talking to my mom, I was like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Just like with you, I was like, oh, it wasn't so bad. Like, you know, Chi was not trying to hurt me. He wasn't trying to make me feel like that. It was just my own perception of those behaviors. And then I perceive it, and I'm so sensitive that I turn it into this chronic pain issues. So I was like, that's pretty cool. That's interesting. And that's, I've been like a hermit for the past couple of days, because I really wanted to consciously take time to heal and be okay with it, and tell people no, like, no, I'm not ready yet, and be okay with it. And like, I feel really like, I feel like I'm just taking it step by step, but just taking my time with the steps. So this is
how do you know if you're progressing too slowly?
Why is it too slow?
No, I'm just like, how do you pace yourself is my question.
Like what I'm doing right now, like,
or how do you know what pace you're supposed to be at? Like,
there's no judge.
Is there any triggers that will let you know, oh, I'm moving too fast? Or
it's all up to you, I think. Like, to me, I have my own ambition at what I want to do. I'm always kind of exploding to do more sports, and that's where I really have to dial it back and really consciously be like, take your time, don't kick a lot, don't do that stretch. Like, every time I get into the gym, it's always, I have to remind myself hardcore not to go all out in my workout, or even just shadow box for what I want, like for a long time, or whatever, like all the fun stuff that I want to do. And I always have to hold back and be like, take your time there. And like, that's how I pace myself there. Going out and, say, like getting things or leaving the house and like addressing my travel anxiety is like, I feel like when I have to just go mail something, like I would push myself to be like, don't think about it, just go.
Can you remind me what's triggering your travel anxiety now that you figured the food sensitivities that you have?
I think it's only a past.
Is it only that occurrence in sixth grade? Is it only that?
No. There's many other times where I like I went in the car or something like that, you know, and I'd be like, well, shit, it happened. It did happen, right? Like, and that's the ultimate fear. Like, I was just listening to this podcast, be like, what is the ultimate fear? Try to normalize it. Like, everybody farts, everybody shits, all that stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's easier said than done. Like, when you're actually panicking and you're feeling like, oh, I'm going to shit my pants and the world will know, and the world will end for me in that time, right? And there were actual real times where that happened. And so I think when I'm going out right now and I'm pushing myself to address that uncomfortability, like mailing something, I'm almost like waiting for the feeling, right? Because I'm so burnt. I'm so like in that memory, like, oh snap, is it gonna come, like that, right? Because you say you've been bit by a tiger and you go to the zoo and you're like, oh man, is this tiger gonna bite me again?
PTSD.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but right now I'm trying to, like, the mechanisms to address that PTSD is like to be like present, enjoy the moment. Like when we went to Costco, like it was really hard for me to go to Costco before. That's why I started to Instacart. And when we went with my mom, and she always likes to go to Costco and like Pashal and whatever, but I'm so uncomfortable. I'm always thinking about this anxiety thing. And then, but that time when we went, I was like, I was fine.
And
I was enjoying it. And I was just, I always try to jog and test my knee rehab, which was great because I could actually put kind of like equal weight on both knees. And since I never jogged in like a year, I was out of breath.
You probably have a lot of cartilage left because you haven't even jogged your entire life.
Well, I have not so much from many sports injuries. I hyperextended my knees.
You're so young though.
Yeah, I mean,
you can really shave all that cartilage.
No, it's not all gone. I wouldn't be able to walk without it. But there's definitely some wear and tear there. It's not like brand new knees or nothing. Like I never used them. I was really active when I was young. So, but now I'm doing all my rehab stuff, and I've been able to dance the way that I want to. Like before, I would have to hold back and always put weight on one leg or something, or I can't do a certain move, and that would kind of make me feel hindered. But I'm going up and down the stairs. I'm still conscious of my knee and whatever, but like I'm seeing real progress. And with the CBD, the one that you got me, like I haven't had an SI joint issue in a long time. A long time meaning like almost 3 weeks. That's pretty long.
Well, I mean, that's good. It's good.
That's great.
They said like it takes a month or two
to get in your system.
To really get in your system.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it works.
Yeah.
Because at first, even your mom, she would doubt, like, oh yeah, I tasted Megan's CBD and it didn't work for me. But I was like, that's because that was only one day, and you have to be taking it like continuously.
Consistently
throughout.
Has to be in your system, you know. And it
can't be a short-term like magic pill. It's going to happen overnight.
Yeah, I mean, magically my bunion went away in like 3 days. The bunion pain, not the bunion, but the bunion pain went away in like 3 days. And then when I didn't take it for maybe like 1 or 2 days because I was testing, the pain would come back. And I was like, okay, interesting. So let's just take this consistently for every day. Let's just see how it goes. And it's been helping so much with me to be not in an inflamed state so I can get back in the gym properly and heal. Because every time it would be like, okay, yeah, you feel good, but you're not really out of your inflamed state. So even though you go back into the gym to try to rehab your body and your core and your back and your hips and whatever, like you fuck up again because you're still inflamed. Right. So it's like trying to heal your knee when it's still broken, you know.
Another thing I want to bring up, like, so we both experience death within our family within the past 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm. Your grandmother passed away. My grandpa passed away around the same time.
Yeah, same time.
So do you think that trigger any emotional anxiety for you, or is there anything that you wanted to share with your grandma or even your grandpa way back in the day that you couldn't share?
No, I think we were too distant. I still, the lesson that I was trying to learn in that time, because I knew my grandmother was dealing with a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And I also knew that she was also very repressed emotionally. And that was just their time, you know, like old Filipino grandmas are all very repressed. And how it manifests in the body, it's different for every person. And with her, she was very arthritic, and you can tell just everything, holding on to everything. And I knew that before I even really understood it now as I do. And I tried to take away from that experience, and it was very emotional for me still, just because I could see the effect that it had on my family. And seeing that effect was, I think, more devastating than say losing my grandma. Yes, obviously, but we weren't that close, so I couldn't say that. That's not the reason for me being sad and stuff. You're like, yes, that's obviously sad, but to see my father cry or to see my father like very sad, that made me incredibly sad. Like, oh man, this is so sad. But like,
how about your grandpa?
My grandpa,
On
I
your
mean,
mother's
same
side.
thing. Like I
Same
wasn't
thing.
close to him, but I saw the effect on my mom or the effect on the whole family, and that's what really I think hit me. Like, oh wow, this is intense. You know, like this is very sad. But
It's crazy. When I attended, I would see Jenna would be more emotional than you were.
I think because I
didn't really understand that, even though she was like 8 years younger than you.
Emotional during like the funeral or something. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I was like, yeah, like for some reason,
Yeah,
she's more touched.
She did take it more personally. She did actually struggle a lot more, I think, in terms of like accepting it and stuff like that during that time. And she would tell me, "Man, I'm still like," and I was wondering like why, because I'm not particularly close. Like it's not like we had a close relationship, but we were always very friendly. Like I love my grandma and everything, but I think the relationship just wasn't there for me. I think maybe she had a closer relationship, so it affected her differently. But yeah, because when I was young, like I just don't really remember any interactions.
Yeah. I thought you both would see her at the same time normally.
No, I think
So
because she lived in the Bay Area before,
Uh-huh.
and then when Jenna was born, which was 94, I think at like late sometime in the 90s, Auntie Babes and then moved to Lancaster, and then you start kind of like hanging out more and stuff. But I'm already grown, like in my teenage years, so I think they pay more attention to Jenna because she's the baby.
So they brought her.
She had
over
more. Yeah, she had more
okay.
attention from grandma for sure, and
see.
and I was like, that's cool. It's fine. I didn't really not like care, but it's just I don't think it affected me.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, when my grandpa passed away, those that lived in that home or that was close to him or visit him like almost weekly, yeah, they were really emotional.
Of course,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, because you have that connection. You have that deeper connection.
Yeah, like growing up, I would say, although like we would always go to family parties, but the family parties faded away by the time I reached 6th grade.
That's pretty early.
And that's because, when the split happened between my parents, it's like, I didn't wanted to attend any family like parties or anything on
They
my
didn't
mom's
make you
side.
go?
My mom didn't make me go. She never makes me go because I always complain, even though when I was little.
Yeah.
Like if Brian's not there, Jonathan's not there, I'm not going.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Like if your cousin's not there, it's like it's gonna be boring.
It's very boring. Like most of the time, it was always me by myself.
Yeah,
and that's why they gave me a Game Boy, and then I just played Game Boy. Like, all throughout, like, and then sometimes they'll come like surprisingly, it's like a lottery.
Yeah.
I was like, yay, cool, it's time to have fun, right?
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah. And then I was like, by the time we reached 6th grade, and we were just out of it.
You're over it.
Yeah, I was over it. I'm not going anymore.
We had family parties a lot, and I was kind of like, oh man, we don't do them anymore or whatever, but everybody just kind of gets grown, especially after we got into or after college, as people start having
growing up and
relationships and stuff like that. Especially when you get a relationship, you totally change. You start realizing who you really are. And
they have their own cliques. They feel like they have their own cliques. Even though you're family, it's like you guys don't click.
It's true. Yeah,
you start to feel like you're someone else.
They're someone else. They're not the person that you hung out with for 10 plus years, and you would make the same jokes and you may have the same inside jokes, and then like they just are not.
But when
laughing anymore.
John first worked with us, and, like he came back into my life, I would say.
Yeah.
No, we still have the same inside jokes, and
Yeah.
We were still able to hang out, but yeah, we were more mature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when he got into a relationship, then it started to change.
Still the same, but bits and pieces of him started to change.
Yeah. And eventually it's now what it is, right?
Yeah.
You don't see each other at all.
Yeah.
Like me, I don't see my cousins at all. It's
Yeah.
like when I see you, and it's maybe once a year nowadays. And it's like,
But
okay.
I think we've seen John enough.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been like 6 years every day. So I think that made up for all the times we haven't seen each other.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, it's all good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not attached to time spent.
Mm-hmm.
It's just quality, right? Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so going back to what you were saying about emotional pain, are you controlling it in different ways? Are you learning how to control it in different ways?
What do you mean controlling it?
Your emotional pain.
Oh. I wouldn't say that's the right term.
Okay.
So when you have emotional pain like we all do, I think what's the healthiest way to make sure that it doesn't turn into something crazy. The one that I'm talking about is childhood trauma. And that's what my research has led me into, is that you have these very traumatic events that happen to you when you're a kid. And because you're a kid, you don't have the tools to process them. And if your parents are just as maybe ill-equipped to help you process them, that's what happens, right? And that's mostly everybody. So how people deal with that emotional trauma, like we were watching this show called Haunting of Hill House, where the 5 siblings each represent a stage of grief.
And
right.
They all have emotional trauma.
And one is denial, one is anger, one is like, bargaining, one is, I don't know, what, depression, right? Blame. So all these things, right? So the same thing with you as a person when you experience trauma and how you cope with it, you develop certain coping mechanisms. So like with me, shitting in your pants at school in 6th grade, and then feeling like what I felt was like, oh, like you didn't notice me. You didn't see what I'm going through. You don't see how I'm suffering, and you're not attending to me, and I don't have the attention that I really want from you, and I can't even ask for it because I'm so embarrassed. I'm so ashamed of it, right?
During that time, did you even reach out to your father as well?
No. Mm-mm.
Now, why is that?
I don't know. I didn't feel like I could. I was so embarrassed, so ashamed of it.
Why was your mom the first person that you went to?
Well, you instinctively, I think, call your mom first. One, because maybe she's available. I don't know why, but I think I would instinctively call my mom about something embarrassing. I would want the most nurturing person to see me or attend to me or give me attention, to mother me, right? Because I'm in this really vulnerable state. I mean, looking back, that's how I think I would. You just instinctively do that. You don't think about it, you just do it. Mm-hmm. You would call your mom. So, and then after that whole thing went down, I just kept it a secret forever. And it just always felt like this secret, like a ghost, right? Like how the show is saying, I was like, man, this show's on point about emotional trauma, because it's like a ghost. It's it's there all the time, just every time. You're not even doing anything to attract it or anything like that. And it's just that dude in the back of you, just right there, just always on your shoulder. Man, how do I get rid of this fool? And how I am, I think healing with that is shining a light on it and going, this is what happened to me. And then I telling my mom, yeah, this is what happened to me. And this is probably the 3rd or 4th time I told her. And she's always kind of heard it in the show. But to tell her one-on-one and to be this happened to me, and I felt like you didn't see what was going on. You didn't give me attention. And then for her to just acknowledge it. How the girl Shirley in the show is she denies everything. So the people who are dude, didn't you see that? And she's like, no, I didn't see shit. But like obviously she went through the same experience, and like for the person on the other side is like, dude, it's so goddamn frustrating. I know you saw it too, and you're just denying it. So you're not giving us like a power of experience. You're not sharing in this experience. You're shutting it down. You're rejecting it, and it feels very like unloving and very like you're ignoring it, and you're ignoring me, right? To have this experience, or to like help each other through it. Like, why don't you want to hold my hand and help me through this goddamn scary thing, right? Mm-hmm. So same thing. That's a really good parallel that you could visually understand what it means when somebody's rejecting you or denying this thing that you need from them. And so I was like, okay, cool. So after we had that conversation and we shine some light on it and we go, okay, it's okay. I see what you went through. And my mom was like, oh, so you've suffered. Like, and I was like, oh, thank you for like seeing that. Like, thank you for acknowledging what I've gone through. And I don't get that relief of like coming down from all this like pent up repression of emotion until I see that you acknowledge it. Me personally, because I do the same thing with you. I'm like, I need you to see exactly what I'm going through. That's why. And I think the problem is like when I expect you to know, I just expect you to know that I took out the trash and cleaned the house today. And then if you don't say anything, I'm like mad, right? So the solution to that is just be like, this is what I did today. There's no anger in there. I just want you to know, because in turn, I want you to acknowledge me. Acknowledge what I did, right? Acknowledge the time that I spent and stuff like that. And now you've been really like receptive to that, and now you change, and now you say thank you and everything. And like I don't need you to be like all patronizing and stuff like that, but to notice, to acknowledge, to genuinely notice and acknowledge. And I think that's but I have to ask for it, right? That was a big thing too. It's like it's not a one-way street, it's always a two-way street. And I had to physically ask my mom, I need you to see what I was going through, and I felt like you were rejecting me, and so I had to be very clear with my words. But when I was doing that, it just felt like, cool, I'm shining a light on it. It's not a vague thing. It's not a weird expectation. It's not like an unsaid communication. No, I'm being very clear with what I need from you, and now you give it to me, and cool, now we can be cool, right? And so that's what I've been learning in the past like 2 weeks.
Oh, cool.
And it's working. Like, it's like I feel lighter. I feel less irritated. I'm not mad every day for some random reason. Like, I would be mad a lot, and I think that was maybe a big part of it. Just this holding on of all this emotion.
It's just letting go.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I remember Tony speaking with you on one of the shows, and the Golden Rule, and he was saying to let go, but it's probably hard to understand what you can't tell somebody. Yeah, you can't tell someone to let go.
You can't not. Yeah.
And at the time, you're like, how do I even let go? I don't even know how to let go.
Exactly.
So it's sort of up to you basically to learn your own path of letting go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say, somebody telling you to let go, and you saying, and even going, well, how do I even do that? That's a really great start, because you even just open your mind to letting go instead of just scoffing or walking away or like, fuck you, you don't understand or whatever. Like, you're like, well, how do I even do that? You think it's impossible, but I think that's a really important question, or a first great step to ask. Like, it's a very monumental step where your brain just kind of shifts even a little bit, like 1 degree difference. It will, ripple into a bigger degree, right? So, and it's cool. Like, that's the journey. That's my journey. And like in terms of pace and like, I think it's happening relatively quickly right now. Like, a lot of changes are going on versus how long it took to build up to this point. Like, I think things are going relatively quickly in my experience.
Yeah, I feel like you're improving drastically after 7 days in your meal plan, and I'm good. I'm like glad that one thing led to another, where CBD just to find that company to helped you, and even Everly to step in the door the next day for you to order it, and now you get to really change your diet.
Yeah. You have some clarity, and
Yeah.
you've helped me get a lot of clarity on things where
Maybe it is good that you do the 23andMe. That way you know what are other health precautions other than meals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just other
I
things.
always wanted to do it.
It's just very costly as well.
Oh.
Isn't it like $250 or something like that?
Whoa.
All these tests are really expensive.
Well, the test I took was what,
160.
160.
Something. Yeah.
That's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, it's $160 versus not knowing, right? So you look at the benefit
versus doing the same thing.
Yeah,
So.
it's definitely worth it. It's actually not expensive, right?
Yeah.
In terms of like, oh, let's try this other new thing.
It is not expensive because someone did the research for you.
Yeah.
Someone took DNAs of all these food items, 96, right? 97 of them.
Yeah.
To study it and match it against all these things.
I mean, I think that's my like cheap side coming through, where it's like, oh yeah, it's expensive, and but it's really not in the big scheme of things, like to help you heal. The problem is like, oh, is it going to work? That's, I think, the biggest thing. It's not really a matter of cost. Like, if people know that something's going to work, they will pay it, right?
Of
Especially
course.
if they're suffering. The problem
from,
is
like, the Haunting of Hill House, that that lady hired the author, Steve, to
because
come
she
over,
was seeing ghosts in her bedroom.
but to pay that amount,
to
have someone come and sleep at your home just to see if you're experiencing,
because you're suffering, right? When you're suffering, you will pay, and it's actually a small price to pay for having clarity and actually getting real results. The problem is the risk. Like, oh, is it going to work? That's what we always think. Is it going to work? Because there's plenty of times where I got burned. Charlotte's Web CBD didn't work. I don't know why. Like, it was so popular. It was like working for all these people, and all it gave me was like cotton mouth. And I was like, whoop-de-doo, Basil. That was like $70.
Yeah.
Right. I would say that's not cheap.
That's not cheap at all.
If it worked, I'd be like, it's cheap. But because it didn't work, I'm like, that's expensive. It's expensive when it doesn't work, right?
It is, yeah. But I mean, I guess it affects people different ways.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing.
People's mindset.
You gotta be willing
Could
to
be placebo.
Run the gambit.
You never know, you know?
Gotta run the gambit.
So you went through, you were speaking about childhood trauma, emotional pain, and then there was what's the other type of pain that you were? Physical pain.
Physical pain, yeah.
How's your physical pain being handled right now?
It's gone down drastically, and the pain has now moved to, because I know I'm not done with my work emotionally, so the pain has now moved to, like, I mean, it's always been a sticking point. It's my mid back, and I think it's a lot having to do with how I work. So, and I've and that would be kind of like the next step in my posture, or how am I working and everything. I know I definitely take breaks, and that's another thing. It's like, if the pain moves around in your body for kind of like no apparent reason, that's a good sign that you have some chronic pain going on. Sometimes chronic pain people, they don't know that they have it. They're in denial, right? That's a big, I'm cool. Like,
and then there's level of tolerance.
Or are you a sensitive person? Like me, I'm very sensitive. So a lot of my emotions do manifest into physical ailments. Some people, not so much, right? Like yourself. So it just kind of like on a scale, you have to really get in the weeds with your own body and your own psyche, and see how they work together. That mind-body connection, which I'm reading a book right now by Dr. Sarno, and he was the leading, doctor or thought leader about this sort of thing, where if there is a disconnection between your mind, it can often lead to ailments in the body. And so he died a couple of years back, but he's now passed on his work to like other people who really believe in it. And so I've been learning from one of his direct pupils, patient and turned into a pupil. And now she's licensed and has been doing this kind of work, like helping people get over their emotional trauma for the last like 35 years. So it's pretty cool. And I like the way that she teaches. And yeah, it just kind of like depends on your sensitivity.
Yeah.
And there was this other study that I keep forgetting to like look back into, but I heard it, is that you're born with like a predisposition to pain because in your, say, past life, you were somebody who just went through a lot of pain, and you carried it on into your next life. I wanted to read more about that, and I keep forgetting to. I want to like check that out. I'm probably speaking out of turn, but
I wonder why I don't have childhood trauma after my dad like would hit me so many times.
Oh, you do. It's manifesting in different ways.
Yeah.
Like a big reason with my frustration with you is that I'll tell you some things many times, and like you're like, I didn't know that, or you didn't tell me. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then I get really pissed off. And you already told me that you're very stubborn and averse to learning, and you don't like to open your mind to new ideas a lot of the times. And I have to really like psychoanalyze you and like really prepare my pitch when I pitch you something new. If I'm very serious about it, I will like be psychoanalyzing the shit out of you and be like, and then I put forward my thing and I'm like, dope, it worked, right? But man, it took so much fucking work. And that's just how you like your languages and stuff. And I think a lot of times when you
think a person is born being stubborn?
No, I think you learn that. And you learn that from your parents. Yeah. And the way that I get, a lot of the frustrations that I have with you are childhood behaviors. Yeah. You act like a child. And because I think looking on the outside and like psychoanalyzing it, well, you know, I don't like to, but I just do that so I can gain more compassion, is like, well, if your mom never taught you how to be this way, or to do these certain things that I expect of you as a man, then yeah, it's going to be freaking hard for you to meet that expectation that I have of you. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, like working around the house. Because if you say, I'll just let somebody else do it, why do the dirty work, right? That's in your mind. And that's what you've been taught. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, so that's like a rich, pompous attitude towards working for yourself or taking care of your own things. To me, I see pride in that. It's like, well, I paid for it. I'm going to take care of it. And I want to know every little thing about it. I want to take care of it. They're my things. And that's why I work. That's why I clean my car. That's why I clean my house, because it's mine, right? Like I take pride in that. But I guess the teaching background where you're coming from is different, right? So I was like, okay, cool. I mean, it's not that you're looking down on me when I clean or anything like that. It's just that you come from a different teaching background. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And so now I don't have to be upset or assume or anything like that. I just understand. Okay, cool. That's where you come from.
I see.
But I still need you clean. Yeah, we're still sharing this house together, so we need to take care of it together.
I do clean.
Right? No, that's what I would say to myself. Like, instead of just rationalizing your behavior and be like, oh, that's just the way he is. No, that's a bullshit. It's bullshit. You're having compassion, but you're not actually working together to address those childhood behaviors. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's what we do. That's what we do now, for sure. Yeah. But when we first moved in together, it was like... It was not that way, right? We had very much, a lot to learn about each other. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, okay, so here's another thing, right? That just came to mind. Mm-hmm. How do couples mature in a relationship when they don't have kids?
Well, I mean, thankfully we have our business, and that's been like, it's like a child, right? Yeah. If we
because I always wonder that, right? Because they go through our friends go through a different pattern.
They sure do, yeah.
Yeah, and then I see the changes in them. Yeah. And they're like completely different.
Yeah.
Other than they feel stress at times, but I know there's happy moments.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
we don't have that. I mean, we had some experience with like a dog, some dogs, and that's the closest. Or just dealing with members of our team, but that's just really just pales in comparison to I think having a child of your own.
Yeah.
And somebody that you gave birth to. I'm sure that's different than adoption per se. I'm sure it's a different feeling.
Yeah, because we went through watching stuff about like the mine hunter and those that get adopted and like all these things, right? So I'm like all going through
dude, the childhood trauma thing throughout all these things, right? It's all like these, lining up, isn't it?
Yeah, all these series, but then also viewing our friends.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of all that. Like, how do we see ourselves maturing? Because I don't want, like, for me, I don't want to act like how I was before. And it's great that you point out how I'm acting. That way I can adjust and, take it to the next level and be a better person.
Yeah. So, we help each other, we help each other grow.
But I do want to make sure that we're continually like growing and not being stuck.
Do you feel like we're getting stuck sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah.
When do you feel that we're getting stuck? Because we're not having children? Is that why?
No, it's not that. I mean, in our relationship, I feel like there's some parts of it that we still act like we're 26, 27 around.
How's
there.
that? Give me an example.
It just comes out. I can't recall like right now.
Why?
It just comes out. I have a bad. I don't know. I can't. I have a bad memory trying to remember when it comes out. Yeah. And to put a label on it, like I don't know what to label it. What? Yeah.
We don't have to label it. I just want to know an example of when you feel that we are acting 26, 27. And what is that marker for you? Yeah. I know it's not going to be this. So this is the journey.
Okay, so here, like just some habits like that we didn't really address, and I always been the one that pays for all the credit card bills and the mortgage and all that, right? Not saying that you should do it now, but I'm just saying it still feels the same. Like that never changed.
I see.
Yeah.
Would you like it to change?
I don't know if it's supposed to change. See, that's the thing.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, like, should we be splitting our personal tasks, not the business side, right? Our personal life, like having, you still have your own credit cards, right? You're not even an authorized user, like things like that. Like
I see.
Yeah, we haven't really addressed all that.
I just assume a lot of the money stuff I leave to you. I leave to you to lead us because you're the more responsible and more thoughtful and future minded. So I follow your lead there, right? And you're like, oh, build your credit. I'm not thinking I'm gonna leave, so I'm like, why should I ever build my credit? You know what I mean? Like I'm just so, and I know that's probably dumb to a lot of people to be like, duh, wouldn't you? But to me, I'm like, yeah, I think of us as one unit, but you're like, B, go build your credit because you have to build it. And just in case, like if we want to buy a house, like you could be our backup good credit. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to do that. And so now I have good credit. So like, okay, cool. Like, so a lot of times with the money thing, I follow your lead there.
And okay. So here's another thing. It's like also health, Kaiser, both of us, like, I mean, we know why we never want to visit Kaiser because
too many burned.
They nickel and dime you.
And nickel and dime you, yeah.
But again, like also the dentist.
Yeah.
Yeah, we I don't know. It's just our responsibilities, like having our health when we need to pay attention to our teeth.
Yeah.
And everything. We really haven't changed that habit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's just old things that we neglect.
I see.
That we should bring to attention.
Yeah, the teeth thing, honestly, I really feel like I didn't have to go in and do that shit. Like, this is all cosmetic. Like, there was nothing wrong. I didn't have a cat. Like, she made it worse. Like, now I have to, like, I still do the same shit as I did before. I paid $400. And I was like, what the fuck? I just didn't say anything because, you know, whatever. I'm just supposed to go get my teeth cleaned. But I was like, honestly, like, dude, there's still a big fucking hole in my mouth. Like, I'm still cleaning it with the water pick, and that's what I do, right? Like, and I was like, I'm just going to follow my dad's example. He never went to the dentist, but he was just religious about cleaning his teeth. And I was like, I was fine. I was cleaning my teeth, but you were like, go to the dentist and go get that, like, checked out or whatever. And I was like,
you had a hole again.
Yeah, I have a hole, but I'm still doing the same shit. You know, she did all that stuff and whatever, and I paid $400. Yes, it was a discount. Yes, all that stuff. But I was like, I'm still got a hole in my mouth. I still got to get in there with a water pick, and like big chunks of meat come out of that bitch. It's like, you know, I still just clean my teeth the same way as I did before. So I was like, what the fuck was it worth? So to me, I'm like, if I just take care of my teeth, you know, and I just like follow my dad's example, there shouldn't be anything wrong. If there's something critically wrong, then yeah, if I needed some kind of root canal or something, but it shouldn't get to that point because I take care of my teeth.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. And then with the doctor thing, like, I think in general, we are trusting doctors too much these days, and there needs to be more trust put back into ourselves to know our bodies. And no doctor could tell me what I've learned now. None of them could tell me what I've learned now. I had to be my own advocate. You had to let me know about this food sensitivities test.
Because you're just general doctors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why the fuck am I going to pay all of these things and be nickel and dimed and be like still left in the dark? No, I want to take control of my health. It's unfortunate that we have this health system that we have, but that's what we have. And it's there for emergency in case I get in a car accident, then that's when you fucking need it, right? But right now, I feel like I'm pretty good. I'm on the track. I'm generally very healthy. I'm like, I can go do my thing. I can walk. I can run, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm not hurting. I'm not in critical pain or a critical condition. You know what I mean? I didn't break anything. I'm fine.
So yeah, that's mainly it. Like
The
those things. No, like those are
going
just some
to the doctor.
examples. Yeah, those are just some examples that carried over. Like, as for how many years I've known you, right? It's been the same thing throughout our relationship when it came to health, and yeah.
What do you mean, like going to the doctor?
Like, throughout our relationship, if I didn't mention about dentistry, I have never seen you went to the dentist.
Oh,
Yeah.
but wasn't it the same with you as well?
Well, that was me, but I mean, I thought.
So why do you judge me when you do the same?
Well, I was just wondering how you grew up with, like, you know, I went to the dentist.
I was like,
but
I'm fine. Like,
yeah.
my teeth are fine. I don't have any pain. All you're going to do is cosmetically fill these fillings with white fillings, and I have to pay extra for that. Like, nobody's looking up my mouth to see it's like, that's cosmetic. So to me, it's not worth it. Yeah.
Well, and then the other thing is keeping each other in check. I feel when it comes, I mean, health is very important.
Yeah.
Right? Now that we learn that you have major food sensitivities towards things that we used to eat together, it kind of changes things around.
Yeah, the dynamic, right?
The dynamic in that, and you did mention that is going to change our dynamic where we can't be together when it comes to food.
At least right now, no.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, but other than that, do you feel like that will affect us in keeping our health in check with each other?
it should, because like, just like I watch a lot of like powerlifters and bodybuilders, and they also talk about their diet, and it depending on their goals, like, oh, I'm cutting, or I'm bulking, or I want to get up this weight class or whatever, right? I feel like it's the same kind of thing.
So for couples, should you share that with each other? That way the other person know what your goals are.
Yeah, you should definitely share it.
Okay.
It's like, I shared with you, like, in great detail what I can and cannot eat, right? But what I shouldn't do is expect you to know everything. And that's why I'm like, I do my thing and you do your thing until, I don't know, whatever. Like, that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And I should not be responsible for what you eat, and you shouldn't be responsible for what I eat.
Yeah. Because
it's already too much pressure. Like, if you're still trying to figure out your diet, right? And all that stuff. Like, I wouldn't want to put that extra pressure on you to be like, oh, you got to know what I'm going to eat too. Just do your own thing, until we figure this out. Because right now it's just too much, Like, for me to do my meal plan, I've created it so simply. I've been sticking to it, and it's great. Because I know you like variety. Like, you get tired after, like I told you, after 2 meals, if it's the same thing, you're like, I'm done with this shit. Like, to me, I'm like, at this point, I don't care, because if I venture out of this and I try to be adventurous or try to add variety, I get some pain or I get some, feedback.
Yeah. So
to me, I'm not, it doesn't affect me as much to not have variety and to have these boring ass meals. I'm just thankful. I'm like, at the end of the meal, I'm not in pain. I'm like, yay, it's a win. So, but with you, it's different, and I don't like to be around that so much, because it only reminds me that I'm eating a boring ass meal or something like that. Or like, or I'll see your meal and it's like in and out.
So how do you take it? I mean, you're grateful that the meal that you eat doesn't cause you anything currently. And you're doing really well in just being surrounded by, like, when I brought In-N-Out for our family to eat and everything. That didn't affect you in any way, did it?
Of course, I'm sad.
Yeah, I know. I know you're sad. I would be sad.
I'm fucking sad inside, man.
I would be sad as well.
Fucking smelling that shit.
So during that time was very challenging.
It was challenging, yeah.
So what did you do to face those challenges?
I just focus on, like, oh, everybody's having a good time. Everybody's here. That's what matters.
Okay.
I would be like saying that to myself. Like, everybody's here. That's what matters. Like, cool. We're eating as a family or something. And I don't see my family that often, or as much I would like to, right? So seeing them for like 3 days straight, it was cool.
Yeah.
So I just keep focusing on that, and then they're eating like freaking Thai Buddha fried rice and shit, like all my favorite ass meals.
Yeah.
All my fucking favorite ass meals, right?
Yeah.
And here I am just eating rice and meat or whatever.
Yeah.
Not even putting black fucking pepper on it, man. Like, what the fuck?
Red peppers.
And these pink peppercorns, I was like, they're so floral right now. I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
And when I like take a bunch, like a bite into one, I'm like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's like, I was like, I shouldn't even put it at all, man. Because it's like, it's not what I want. It's like, if you can't have something exactly what you want, it's like having a low-fat donut.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that?
It tastes more like a fruit than a pepper.
Exactly. So I'm not the biggest fan of it, and I said, maybe, I'm just gonna I bought a shit ton of it. I'm just gonna keep putting it in stuff, because like I'm running out of things to put on my food. Like, just put it in. Maybe you get used to it.
Yeah.
Or maybe I have to grind it more, because it's very intense when I bite into that. I want to get that pestle and mortar, and then maybe it'll be better.
Yeah, and that's cool that how you faced in your train of thought of that we're spending time.
Yeah,
and
that was more important.
Yeah,
more important. Yeah.
You think you'll feel the same way now that we'll be going out with friends and things?
No, that's more hard, because I'm not as like. I love my friends, but it's not like hanging out with my mom and dad. I see time with my mom and dad as being very, very precious, because they're going to leave. They're going to go live in the Philippines in a couple of years. So I was like, to me, I'm like, the moment they told me that, I was like sad, but also like, I'm happy for them too. But like, I'm just always aware of that right now. So it's like, okay, I need to, like, every time I spend with my mom and dad, like commit it to memory, like remember, like be here, like be present. And because they're not always going to be here. So I just want to like, I find it very like precious, and it overpowers a lot, that feeling. Whereas with my friends, I'm like, yeah, you're my friends, it's cool, you know, and I do cherish my friends too, but it's not the same. It's not it's the same as my mom and dad, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same feeling.
I see.
No offense to my friends,
I know.
you know, but like.
But then I'm asking you what you would think of when we do go out.
I don't know. I think
What challenges you feel like you can displace that thought that you can't. I mean, if they're eating in front of your face, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a lot. Like, you know, in terms of taking time, I think it's a great step to take with my parents, because I need to nurture that relationship. That's a need. That's a necessity. And other relationships that are not necessities in my mind, in my, you know, reptilian mind, because that's the mind that operates based on fear, and why it has a lot of this, oh, you're eating that and I'm eating this kind of reactions. It's not as strong. You know, with my parents, it's like it's a lot easier to say those things to myself because it's more true, you know. But with my friends, it's not as true, you know. Honestly, it's just not as true. So the power of like trying to be present, or not caring, or ignoring that you're eating really good food in front of my face, it's not as like powerful. So the motivations are like not as like there for me, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So
and now it just feels like sad.
So when I suggested that you eat first, is that okay with you?
Maybe. I mean, the thought of it makes me sad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like when you mention it, I'm like, I don't even want to spend the brain power to think about it.
But let's talk it through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now.
I don't know. I mean, I know the only motivations now at this point is like, oh, I don't want to keep you from your friends or something. But you'll never go out and just have dinner with them by yourself.
Well, I mean, all the times I've been hanging out with Tony and Cindy, it was always by myself.
Oh, okay, so you're used to it. So it's not a big deal.
But, you know, in some ways, I wish you were there too, because it's like a couple's date. You know, like...
Believe me,
yeah.
For the person who's not able to experience.
Yeah.
Okay, like...
Other than eating. I'm not talking about eating.
know?
I just want you to go over there with me and just hang
out.
out.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down for that, for sure.
Yeah.
But when there's the pressure of food, and then when I have to fucking explain it every time, I mean, maybe because I'm new and I'm still like dealing with this condition and having to deal with like,
or
how do I explain it now?
How with this? Don't even bring it up.
I don't bring it up. It's always them, but it's really hard too. It's like, oh, you can't eat that?
Because
what can you eat? I'm like,
I mean, there are times that you would set yourself up in the past saying that I have IBS. You know,
that was the past.
Yeah.
But right now, like as it stands right now, like people are still asking because I have to make them aware.
I think now that your past was your past, right? But then your current friends that currently know you, they don't know your progression.
Yeah.
So they're going to ask you again just to make sure.
I know.
Yeah. It's like sort of like now that you have an update, you have to update everyone's like a computer.
I know. It's annoying. It's not their fault. I know that, but it's already very taxing to deal with by myself. It's already taxing. It's already very stressful. And so the best that I can manage my stress with that is to slowly introduce things like going out to eat slowly. We're going to be doing a lot of going out in this next week.
I would say, the quicker way is just send people heads up through text. Mm-hmm. That's the quickest way.
Oh, let them know, like,
and let them know versus
I like that.
speaking one-on-one with each person in person, and then by the time you meet with them, you have to repeat yourself, right?
Yeah, I don't like doing that.
Easier just to type it out.
It makes me sad too. It's not that it's like, oh, it's so fucking annoying to explain it to you, but like for me, when I repeat it to you, it's just like when I like when you're eating in front of me or something.
A template.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, please just.
You need a template.
Yeah, when I have to say it over, it's almost
have
like
a template.
It's real again. It's real again. It's real again. Like, you can't eat that. You can't eat it. And I'm like, fuck. And I'm the one saying it.
But have this template and just start sending it to everyone.
Here's my flyers. Thank you. Bye.
That way, you save your time from speaking about it to
true.
say about it. So it's automatically in their mind the moment you show up and greeting them or
don't ask me about this.
Cool.
We're
like, cool, we're good.
Okay, don't ask me about this, okay?
I think all of our close friends will understand.
I'm sure they'll understand. Yeah.
So I think that will save you time to prevent from speaking about it and just have a good time when you hang out with people.
I like that idea.
Try that out. Yeah. I just wanted to bring this up because I feel like it was like I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure you out.
Yeah.
In that sense, and
I appreciate it.
I know you want to socialize with your close friends as well. They're also another anchor and a support team for both of us.
Yeah. I don't doubt any of that. It's my own. It's my own progress. For example, when I was breaking out, and I know it's not the same as your type of breakout, but I don't feel like me. And I don't want to record a video, and I don't want to go out and dance or take pictures because I'm not me. So it's the same feeling. It's the same kind of like concept. Like, I'm not me right now yet. I don't feel 100% yet. And I feel good. I think I'm making a lot of great progress. And like, you get the first benefits of that, I think. But like, everybody will have their time. It's just, it can't be everybody's time all at once. I have to like just kind of like put a stake in the ground and make my stand here, and then when I finish this battle it's here, and then when I finish it's here. Like, I just keep moving up, and until I squash this, and I'm very confident I will at this point, which is a great feeling. I didn't feel that before. I actually have hope, real hope. Not hope like, I hope this works. No, I actually have real hope right now because I have real results to back it up. So it just can't just be everybody's time at once. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, in these next couple of weeks. Like you also mentioned like, we're going to be going out a lot, and you're prepping yourself in your work schedule. Me, I have to prep myself in that way. Like, okay, psychologically dealing with people enjoying all the food and drink. The drinking too, that's a big deal. It's like, I love to drink. You only need to
control that one person. That is it.
Well, I mean, even with him not even being there, like, I like to enjoy drinking. I like to enjoy the flavor, not just getting drunk, but the flavors that we used to really connect on and do this thing together. And I'm sure I'll maybe find my way back there, but it's just like working out. Like, man, I want to explode. Like, I want to go play, right? But I can't play fully. Well, at least you get
to sing your heart out on Thursday.
I will sing.
But, yeah. Well, I know my limits is that I have to leave a certain time, and I'm going to leave that certain time, and I just need to prep myself in that way.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to bring up?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you something. I forget. We talked about you just said, I don't have any childhood trauma. You're like denial. You're the Steve in the story.
I'm in denial. I have a denial.
You're the denial one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, it's nothing. Like,
yeah,
I didn't feel anything.
Well, I mean, I do have childhood trauma.
Yeah.
I already know butterflies and grass, just freaking big ass insects.
But that doesn't affect you in any real capacity in your life.
I mean, it's
where
real. I mean, we freaking go out. If I see one, I'll freak
I mean, it's a
out.
real pain for you, but
Yeah.
in terms of like how you see the world or how you operate your life or how you make decisions is not based on your fear of butterflies.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I'm talking about
Oh,
something.
well, actually, sometimes it does when it comes to shooting. I just want to make sure it's not the season or when it's LA Arboretum, for example.
Yeah.
I know these little big black beetles that are flying around, they're in season right now. And when I hear that I'm going to be going to a garden, I know they're going to
But
be
it doesn't
there.
stop you.
Yeah, because it's a job. And
It's a job,
I need
so
to
I'm
finish
saying
it. I can't act like a bitch.
Where are the things where like, you know, like where you have emotional trauma
Yeah.
and you're not able to like
It's crazy, though. I have
emotionally.
Yeah.
I know that pain with the butterflies is real. I'm not saying that it's not real.
But when I do face it during a shoot, I like totally try to believe it's not there. It's crazy.
Okay, like the denial stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it works.
Yeah.
That helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until it hits me on like that black one that hits me on neck, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you won't quit. You're not gonna like
Yeah, I'm not gonna
get in your
quit.
car and run away and
No,
cry. Like
of
that's what
course
I'm
not.
saying. So it's not crippling you
Yeah.
in any way. You'll still power through.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't think you have any childhood trauma?
No, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is not related to butterflies and insects.
Well, I mean, you already explained it, so I guess I do have in my actions and what I do.
No, because
around
I
the
mean,
house
you
and
can't just accept somebody telling you. I
Yeah.
think that's what takes away your own awareness.
Yeah.
So that's my experience of you because those were behaviors related to me, right?
Yeah.
But for you, which is
what
often
I was talking about was throughout all the abuse, right?
Mhm.
I'm not traumatized by a ruler or by my dad every time I see him that he's going to whip out another stick and hit me.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not. That doesn't come in mind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you feel connected to your parents? Like,
Yeah, I mean, when I talk to my dad, yeah, we can always just pick up a conversation easily. It's not like we have a hard time talking.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you always ask what did this guy go through?
Yeah.
You always have that question, even though you say that you can
But
easily talk.
he's probably the one that, shuts himself off from talking about. But then it's slowly every time we sit down together, something about his childhood starts to come out. Like he wants to share it with someone.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I feel like it's like right now it's the time to share it. Yeah.
How does that make you feel that he's sharing it with you?
Yeah, I'm like, it's cool just to kind of learn stuff and how they grew up.
Yeah.
I mean, I still, even though I have asthma and stuff and I hate flying, I mean, at least I would want to travel at least once over Vietnam just to see how they grew up, just to learn their history. And then, yeah, that's,
You should go with your mom. She's always asking you.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's not, we don't have the same relationship when you can travel with your parents.
Yeah. But you did it before.
I mean, I did it before, but
I would not have that relationship. Like, you went when you were a teenager. Like your parents are the last person you want to hang out with usually when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
You're like, I want to hang out with my friends. Like, they're not cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, when she goes with her sisters or my aunts and uncle, that's where it gets really annoying.
No, I
It's
mean,
just
when
way
you
too
go,
loud.
just you and your mom, like.
Yeah, I mean, but most times when we go together, it's never just me and my mom.
Oh.
Yeah, it's usually with
Somebody
the family.
else.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But you would go if it was just you and your mom?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, just
Maybe you should ask her.
hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'd be like, hell yeah.
I'm just dreading that flight. That's all it is. Yeah. And asthma. I don't like that smog. I really can't breathe in that thing.
But you've never been there.
Yeah, I know, but I have Every time I go like to like an alleyway and like around Garden Grove, or if
Yeah.
it has a hint of a weird ass smell, and I ask someone,
Yeah.
"Is this how Vietnam smells like?" And they're like, "Yeah, but a little bit worse." I'm like, "All right, I can't take it." So it kind of gives me a clue. Same with the Philippines, right? I would ask like whoever I'm like hanging out with or shooting with, and you know they, or like Marlor is saying like, "Oh yeah, I just went to the Philippines." I'm like, "How is that?" Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Traffic.
Yeah, and he's
Smog.
like, yeah, you go downtown LA and hang out down there. Yeah, that's how it's like, but just a little bit worse.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you're always in downtown LA.
Yeah. That is tolerable, but then there are times when someone just smokes a cig, right? I can't take it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If I can't take it, they're everywhere over there. Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. It smells incredible, like smoke everywhere.
I don't like it.
Yeah. So you'll never go then?
Unless I'm staying in like a 5-star hotel or somewhere.
But it's still you still got to drive to get there.
Yeah.
It's usually like in Philippines, you have to go in the freaking
I
traffic.
probably would never go to the Philippines. You know, Vietnam. I mean, we shoot tea ceremonies. Like I just kind of picture it. Tea ceremonies everywhere over there.
I'm sure it's not.
Oh no, I'm just messing. But yeah, no, I don't know. I have no interest in Southeast Asia that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how come you just said I would like to travel at least once to Vietnam?
Well, I have to. Yeah, it's more like I want to learn that aspect.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you will go.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Every show is very like contradictory coming out of your mouth. I'm like, okay, and you ask three more times.
Well, because I'm also thinking during the show.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I see.
Well, other things like you were saying that. Well, yeah, I'm in denial of childhood trauma.
Well, I don't know. Like I don't like to. I don't know what's the way to like help somebody with that. Because somebody who's in denial or does not want to access that part of themselves.
But I feel like it doesn't even bother me.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if
but
I
it
even
affects,
need help.
It affects people around you.
Yeah.
So your own childhood trauma, wherever it is, wherever it came from, affected me a lot in our relationship.
I do notice that I have a hard time saying bye.
Bye?
Yeah, like goodbye.
Oh, goodbye?
Like, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'll just say, hey, yeah, later. Like, I can walk off, you know.
Saying bye to your parents? Or?
Yeah, I feel like in that way, where my dad just, like, kind of left and took off, it impacted me in that way where I can just, like walk you said, I can walk off. Like,
yeah, because you saw that.
When, like, friends aren't true friends, it's easy for me.
Yeah.
Whereas hard for them. I'm like, all right, I'm good.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I noticed that when you were, actually you bring that up. I noticed that when we were living in Yorba and we were first dating. But
sorry.
But you never hug your mom before.
Mm-hmm. I
like never seen it.
Yeah.
And it was more like a friend. Like your relationship was more like friends, like buddies or something.
Yeah.
And I thought it was odd. And then later on, like especially when we move here, you know, you start to like hug your mom more. But I'm like the first to hug your mom before you. And like when I see you guys hug, it's like it does look awkward.
Yeah.
But
well, you don't even do that in the Vietnamese culture.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I mean, there's you know, some cultures that you can't even stare into the person's eyes when you're talking.
Oh, so it's in the culture that you don't hug.
Yeah. Like usually you bow.
Oh,
before
bow. I see.
Before you greet any elderly people.
But you don't bow at all.
Yeah, you don't just go over there and hug. So it's very different. How I grew up, like I was supposed to bow to my my grandparents, right? But then it slowly faded away. I mean, John still does it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll see him, but he's not going up there and like start hugging
grandma
is that like
and
grandpa.
The Filipino thing where we all like do this with the grandmas. We all do that with the grandmas. Or if there's any elders in the room, we
Yeah.
all like automatically just like snap back into it like we're children, and we do this thing with their hands.
I guess if that's
It's like a bowing.
Yeah, if that's like the bow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're supposed to do that. And even when we eat, right? All of our older, like, you know how in your family, if you're hungry, you just eat, right? But then in the Vietnamese culture, you have to pay your respects to all the elderly. Like, oh, you eat first.
Yeah, the elder's supposed to eat first, right?
The eldest eats first, and then your parents eat, and then you eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you're not supposed to dig in right away.
Yeah, like you're selfish.
Yeah.
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 I think that was maybe there a little bit, especially if there was like a family party, like the all
but
the
then
parents
when I
eat
notice
here.
when it's just you and Jenna and
It's
mom
equal.
and dad,
It's equal.
yeah, it's like equal. Like
Yeah.
if you're hungry, you just
you
eat,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, you know, when I grew up, like when there was my mom and dad, they would eat first and then I would eat.
Yeah.
And I thought that's how it was with your family, so I just sat there and just wait
Yeah.
for your dad to take the first bite or something.
Yeah. Like a respect thing. Well, I think we kind of do that unsaid. Like we do like to wait, but if we're starving, we're like, don't starve, just go eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. We will be more practical than traditional.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean the hugging, it's awkward because it's not in our culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, and then you would see my aunt. She started to hug you and stuff, and I mean that's just all new. I think they're just adapting to the Western culture of just seeing other kids hugging each other, or cousins hugging each other before they leave. Yeah. Before in the 90s, no one hugged each other. You know that hugging basically started in like 5th or 6th grade. When you start to date someone or you have like close friends, you start to hug them.
It was like middle school.
It was
and
like
you say,
middle
and
school.
you hug your friends too.
Yeah.
And
or guys will hug guys. Before it wouldn't be like, no, I'm not gonna hug you, dude.
Yeah.
Like no one would hug you, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And then all of a sudden it was
we started hugging.
It started become more hip. Like let's just
Yeah, but it became cool to hug.
It became cool to hug.
Yeah.
So see all that transition happen over time, and then now the Asian folks like start to learn to hug.
Yeah, that's true. But that's true because when I was growing up, I didn't feel like I got a lot of hugs also from my mom, and I think that's why my love language is not physical touch.
Yeah,
it's like what I learned from my parents is acts of service. Like I see my mom working, cooking, cleaning. The same thing with my dad, cleaning. And I see them do acts of service, and that looks like love to me. So that's what my love language is. I think that's why, not physical touch.
Yeah, physical touch is very in the in the Hispanic culture.
Yeah,
there's a lot of physical touch. In their culture when it comes to hugging or when they greet each other, they kiss on both cheeks and stuff.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's. So I had a good friend back in middle school. You met him, Adriano, and he was the first person in 7th grade that would hug my mom every time we when he's about to leave. So he kind of broke that barrier of like, okay. Yeah.
I feel I broke the barrier with you and your mom because I would be like, oh, Chi doesn't hug his mom, so I'm not going to hug her, mom. So I would be like that before in Yorba.
Yeah.
And then when I think Jenna broke the barrier for me, because she's always so warm and like, moms always like her no matter what their ethnicity. She's always hugging them.
Yeah.
And when I saw Jenna hug your mom, I was like, oh, I should hug mom.
Yeah.
So she broke the barrier for me, and then I think I broke it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then now we just hug your mom.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
It's weird how I remember that moment consciously oh, Jenna's hugging. I should be hugging. Why is Jenna? I'm not hugging my own mother-in-law. That's weird. So I just.
But you already noticed in me that.
And it was awkward for me. I was like, I don't know, but I was like, let him just do it. I remember telling you that too. The first time I hugged your mom, it was because we normally don't do it.
Yeah, I remember telling you that it was awkward for me to call your mom and your dad.
Yeah.
And I would say Alan or Judy.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, and then in our culture, you wouldn't call them by their first name. It's
Yeah.
disrespectful. You would say Mr. or Mrs., right?
Yeah.
It's more Americanized, I think.
Yeah.
And that's like a white person thing to call somebody by the first name. Because I had
First name.
many white friends who would be like, "Hey, Judy. Hey, Al." Like I was
Yeah.
like, "You're gonna get slapped in a second."
But yeah, the thing, I mean, growing up, like with all my other friends, I just call them by the first name, so it was different.
Yes, I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, it was very white because I did have a lot of white friends growing up in
Yeah.
Palmdale. You know, I didn't have any Asian friends, so
Yeah, it's saying Mr. or Mrs. It was like a teacher thing.
yeah. But it's still, you need to do it. It's respectful.
Yeah.
It would be seen as really disrespectful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Parents be throwing side eyes like, "The fuck did you just call me?"
I don't care if they call me by. I mean, friends nowadays just say by the first name, or they'll say
I mean,
Mr.
a friend.
Kevin.
Yeah, a friend, but
I mean, that's what Conchon and Rob's kids call me, Mr. Kevin.
oh, because they're children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's cool with me too. Mr. Kevin's cool.
Yeah, trying to be respectful.
Yeah, it's like Mr.
I think the intent trumps everything.
Yeah.
If your intent is to be respectful, then that will trump everything, you know,
Yeah.
or most stuff. The intent's really important. So you don't feel like if you have that question about yourself, like, oh, okay, do you even have the question? Like, you say it doesn't bother you, so... But I'm telling you, like, a lot of your childhood trauma affects the people around you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I already
And-
told you about the buy
The body, yeah.
where, yeah, I would just leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think...
Or, and then when it comes to, like, you know, at the end of the night, saying thank yous, you already know that I'm really bad at thank yous. It's probably because of childhood traumas, of not getting enough thank yous or respect of your achievements or whatever it is, right? But even though me growing up, I wouldn't be the person to have thank yous because I was a bad kid. Yeah. But it did spawn by, of course, parents. Not, I mean, my parents did discipline me, but didn't raise me to be more academically, like, they weren't really strict on the studies, yeah, or they didn't even know how to teach.
Yeah.
For the first thing. Yeah, my cousins would teach me,
Yeah.
but then I would give them a hard time.
Yeah.
They don't even have any patience, like, because I grew up with Kelly, and
Oh, Kelly.
yeah, Kelly was, I mean,
She's stern, isn't she?
she's about 6 or 7 years older than me,
Yeah.
but or probably like 5 or 6 years older. But ever since I started first grade, she's always like the carpool cousin. Yeah, we'll always drop her off. My parents will always pick her up and then go back to the shop, and she'll hang out there until her parents are done work.
Wow.
And then they will come and pick her up. But then for the most part, we're always there in the same damn room. We never played though.
Oh.
We never hung out.
Oh.
But she would always like,
She's just there.
yeah, she's just there doing her own homework.
Oh, I see.
And I'm there trying to do my own homework. And then she would, you know, try to teach me, but then she loses her patience. And yeah.
I see.
Or she'll do this compare thing saying that, oh, but Diana and Helen are going to public school and they're way surpassing your curriculum and everything. I'm like,
yeah, the
and then I
compare
get
game.
pissed off,
Yeah.
and I'm like, so what?
The comparing thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't have I mean, you're the eldest to me right now in the same damn room. Why don't
Yeah.
you teach me? I don't know.
So if you know you have issues with saying thank you or saying bye,
Yeah.
and you asked me, how does one measure their progress? How do you measure your progress? What are the things that you're doing to, like, help yourself be better or be more aware or be better at the things that you need to be better
listen
at?
more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being more, what I've noticed is to be more empathetic. When Marcus shared about, you know, his mom's surgery with me yesterday, you know, I was like actively listening. I was trying to be there for him and everything.
I see. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I know a little bit about the disease, but I knew he wanted to speak more about it. So, I would, keep
Just
on.
let him.
Yeah, just let him and, engage and ask questions. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that you're becoming a better listener too. Like, even when I am really, really upset, you're able to realize, oh, she's just upset and she just needs somebody to listen.
Yeah.
I think that's really effective and really helpful.
And I feel like a lot of our friends everyone has issues and everyone needs to let it out, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's good to hang out with our friends because I don't think not a lot of them have the time to let things out, or they don't know how to, like, they don't have these conversations like you and I, like, that we set time to let things out.
Yeah.
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 So I feel like it's cool if we can meet with them and show them like our strategy if they need help. These are ways you can let out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I know our good friends that we're meeting this Wednesday, I think it will help them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just to vent, just tell somebody what you're going through. It's the same thing. Like, I need you guys to know what I'm going through, like that.
Yeah.
And, for someone like you, when I was asking myself, like, why does she never seem to experience any pain? And I experience a lot of pain. And, I think it goes to say that, you're meant to flex the gift of listening and allowing people to vent to you because you're not going through a lot of obvious emotional trauma that is critically or crippling you or anything like that. So you're able to actually be there for people. Mm-hmm. Whereas me, like you're able to help me. If you were also in pain, then you wouldn't be able to help me, most likely, right? And then me being in pain is to learn all these things and hopefully develop some sort of strategy where, just like, say, learning how to market, going through all that shit and learning how to do and take the business mind and do what we do now. Cool. So maybe I'm going through all this stuff to learn some certain lessons that I can teach somebody else, maybe a time where you will need something of the experience that I've learned through this time, or a friend or whatever, or a family member. And that's why, because I think when you're suffering, you're like, why me? Which is a very selfish question, but you can't help but utter those words because you're like, dude, why me? Like, why? Like, why now? Like, this is the worst time or whatever. Like, you're very self-centered in this time because you're suffering. But it's like, in the end, there's always a reason why. Because maybe you need to learn it. Or maybe you need to be there for this person. Yeah. And that's why you're okay and you're healthy and all that stuff. Or you need to slow down. You need to pay attention because you're about to get a heart attack or whatever. So you need to take care of your body and slow down and take time for yourself, whatever. Right? Like, there are signs for you to just pay attention, not just to simply ask why, but to be like, okay, yes, why? And now do the thing. Listen to what's going on and see what, what's the real cause and stuff.
Yeah. So, thank you it's improving.
Yeah.
The bye still sucks in a way. Yeah, but when I say bye to the team, I give them a hug and everything. And
I never noticed that. That's something
I'm like, thank you for helping today and everything.
Yeah.
I still feel like it kind of sucks in a way. I don't know.
Because it feels awkward.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, all right, later, guys. Because sometimes you just want to talk more.
Yeah.
But you got to take off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or someone's really bad at, like, ending a conversation. And then you don't want to be the person that ends a conversation.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. But I'm like,
I know you're always a person who's like, I don't want to end this conversation, but I gotta get out of here or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, we gotta eat. Bye.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. I felt like, I didn't give the person enough time to like say what they need to say.
There's never enough time. Yeah. But usually it's not about something critical. It's like it's just shooting the shit. So it's I think it's okay to like cut people off sometimes if you're just shooting the shit with somebody.
Yeah.
But it's like if it's your mom telling you something important, then you give them that time, or somebody's telling you something sensitive, then you give that time.
That's true.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else you want to share?
I think that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye. I don't know how to say bye.
But
how about you? Did you everything else?
Yeah,
everything covered for you?
We basically spoke about everything. It was mainly about the mature, like our ways of maturing in our relationship without kids, and also how you can overcome your pain and your anxiety or your discomforts, right, when we hang out with our friends, and the challenges that you'll face if there is food present, things like that.
I'm sure it'll get easier. It's just now it still feels very fresh.
Yeah.
And I don't think we answered the whole kids thing, but we're just gonna have to find out. Like how do you mature your relationship without kids? Like we have no idea, honestly. Like we're just gonna have to go through it. And
sometimes I wonder if off the bat, if I was a different person in your life, where I was nurturing and I was checking off all the things that,
if you were perfect or something.
Yeah.
Perfectly perfect.
And you felt comfortable of having kids or something. How would you see yourself? Would you even have kids?
I was waiting for this question.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
No, I thought, so Michael and I, and even Marcus, we were talking about what Georgia went through. Like, give me the epidural. I need the epidural.
Oh, yeah, I want to hear that story.
She almost, she wanted a natural birth, but at the last minute, you got the epidural. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it just went out like easy. That's what Michael said. It was like no pain. Yeah. It's like, oh, that's it. Yeah. That's what Georgia's reaction was. It's just speaking from what we spoke about yesterday. Yeah. But yeah, like, and we were just speaking about how movies just make it so more dramatic, and it makes it sound like it's a lot of discomfort. I mean, there's probably some discomfort. Yeah. Yeah. But they make it look so painful than what it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it'll be different for everybody, right? Yeah. And depending on your birth plan, like if you wanted a vaginal birth, you'd have to just mentally really prepare for that. And if you didn't want the epidural, because there was all this controversy about the drugs that enter into the spinal tap and maybe affect the child, and you're like, God, what do I believe, right?
But I feel like more and more like our relationship, I would say if we were both 9 to 5 and there was no photography business, it would have been a different relationship.
Well, yeah, we could say a lot of things. You could be like, if this, then that, right? Yeah. But I mean, if but
I know, like, if a kid was present, like our attention to our business is like another business. What we went through with Covert or multiple businesses, like we weren't there. So we're always faced with that challenge.
I don't believe that. I think for someone to agree, or for a couple to agree to have children and they have a business, and they do the work, they do the foundational work, they do the leg work, they build good bones in terms of what it means to have a child, and they agree and they go, if we're going to have a kid and we have a business, we have to accept that sometimes our attention will prioritize our child. We have to accept that, and we have to be okay with the growth and whatever that's going to happen with our business. And I think when that happens, when you have a child, you'll be like, this is our agreement. Just like if we agreed to marry each other, rich or poor, sickness and health, all that stuff, it's the same thing as having a child. I think you should take vows before you have children, because it's like, no matter what, you should be prioritizing the well-being of your child despite everything else.
Yeah.
Because you made the decision, right?
Yeah.
You can't just be like, I'm going to get married, and the moment somebody walks by and I think they're cooler, I'm going to just go. Right? Like, so it's the same thing. It's like, as long as your commitment and your agreement together is to have a child, and you're okay with, you set all the parameters. It's like opening a business together or something, right?
Yeah.
But it's much more monumental, because it's a human life. So you have this agreement, you build good bones, and then you go, okay, like, this is how it's going to be. You cannot predict what growth you'll have and not have, because what if you have a child and you're like, you get even better at managing your time. You're less lazy. You don't bullshit. You don't repress your emotions, because you know you got to get shit done. Like, I've heard this tons of times where it's like, oh, you think you have time now? Like, wait till you have a kid. Like, then you'll think you're like, holy shit, like, I don't have any time, but I still get my shit done. And I think about the lifestyle that we have right now. I have time to take a nap. I have time to play. I have time to take massage. Like, and I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, God damn, that's dope.
Yeah.
But when you decide to have a child and you commit to that and you agree to that, you're okay. You're saying, okay, I'm not going to have all these things because I'm doing this.
Yeah, your time now is split between...
And you're okay with it.
Yeah.
You love it because you agreed and you're having this child, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I don't agree that if you have a child, it has to take the place and like you're losing and you're missing out on something. That's only if you did not do the work. Like if you had a child and maybe like it was an accident, or you're very young and you were being irresponsible. That's when it's like, yeah, you're missing out because you didn't plan, man. And now you're questioning, what's my priority? Whereas if you make the decision together as a couple and you have this child and you do all the things, right, that you can possibly do to agree, and set up these like baby vows, like we're gonna take care of this baby and we're going to do it together and we're gonna do this and that. All those things kind of figure themselves out, I would say. Yeah, it's gonna be hard and all that stuff, but because you made the agreement, like you're just gonna figure it out. And whatever growth that you have with the business will be what it is, because that's what your life is now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, it's a matter of perspective. Like if you're looking at the glass half empty all the time, then you're going to have a half empty glass. Or you can look at it, as half full and with so much potential.
Yeah.
And what kind of person will you become after you become a parent and all this stuff?
Yeah.
So it's definitely a responsibility and like an incredible, like, I think, privilege to parent a child, because you're taking on a shit ton of stuff. And like we analyze ourselves and you think about all the trauma that you've had from your childhood, right?
Yeah.
And you have to go through your own cycles of forgiveness and acceptance of your own parents. And then if you have your own child, like they're going to go through that same shit.
Yeah.
You're going to do something that they may find unforgiving, and maybe they might hold on to it, and that's a very scary thing too. So but that's the thing that you agree to when you decide to have a child. You agree to that. So I think it's possible, but you need to have the agreement. You need to have a good foundation. You need to have a plan. You need to be like, hey, if we're doing this, we're taking more vows. We're taking more vows together, because the relationship will change and evolve with this other person, right? I think, and the same should be done with you, like adopt a pet. If you're going to adopt a pet, like, you need to take some new vows too. Like, you need to understand what it means to be a good pet owner.
Yep.
It was all on us why that didn't work out. It was all our responsibility and our accountability why we don't have Caden now. So I think it was just really telling. It was just like, well, if it's not something that my partner wants or that I want, like, and we can't make an agreement, we're not a good fit for that type of life.
Yeah.
If things worked out differently, then they worked out differently. I can't really say.
Yeah.
I don't regret anything that happened. But that's the life that we have right now. Like, these are the choices that led us to here. And that's why we don't have children, and we say we're not going to have children. The future can always change, but like, because I always want to
give it thought
and be responsible.
Yeah.
Because I do not want to be old and regret it. Right.
Yeah.
So we have these conversations. Right. So, and this is not me being like, oh, I'm waiting for you to ask me to have kids. No, it's not that. This is just an honest conversation of being like, I really want to hear what you think after I tell you, oh, because I saw that, I don't think we can have children. That was my honest, how I felt, right? And then, but you didn't really say anything, so I was like, okay. But I want to see, so I'm waiting for this question because of your habitual need to, or habitual act to deny and repress, and not really like, what does that actually mean? What does that actually really mean?
I'm like observing you right now.
Right. Yeah. So I'm just waiting for you to like.
No, I'm like seeing where you're coming from.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Before I step in. Yeah.
Well, that's how I feel.
Yeah. But like, okay, so when you're all mentioning about that, right? I'm just thinking back of also like Mindhunter and what that kid went through, but
yeah, all these shows,
all these episodes, right? Yeah, you can only mold a person so much growing up, right? And then there's a point in life where they're going to be influenced by other people, and that's out of your control.
Does that scare you?
Yeah, and that's scary. And that's what makes me not want to have kids, is because other kids, you can't control how the society parents their kids, and then they all go to the same school, and they're going to just be swayed one way or the other, and just hope your kid wasn't swayed too much. Right?
Yeah.
Or kids will be talking, oh, you know how to share a secret? I learned this cool power, how to share a secret, right? The secret is don't tell your parents. So when that comes along, you're like, okay, what do you do now? Right? So all those things. And I know like the patterns of kids, it's always going to happen in every damn school at one, like probably first grade is when the shit starts to kick in.
I think earlier.
Or earlier.
Yeah. Kids start to test you.
Yeah. I would say, just because of my dad and how he was. In kindergarten, I was a bully already. Yeah. I would throw sand on kids' face and I would get in trouble. Yeah. At the playground, like one kid was pissing me off, and he was in the sandbox, just, he was a loner. So I made mud balls and I would chuck at him. Right. And then I got in trouble. Yeah, things like that, like
I see.
Yeah.
Cool. I was waiting for you. So, how I wrote, did you read what I wrote on the whiteboard?
No. I didn't
so a lot of the decisions that you make, I know, come from fear or scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
I know where that comes from, right? So we know where that comes from. And I was like, and again, with all these shows that we're watching, it reminds me of how you often would approach me with the fantastical worst scenario, like with our team or with anything. Yeah. Buying something and you're like, what if he screws you over? What if you mailed this coffee to the customer and they come to our house because the return address, there's a lot of fear-based things. And I was like, the fuck? Yeah. They're going to come to my house. And then I take on that fear and I take on that anxiety because I'm so much like a follower and stuff. But, what I wrote on the whiteboard is a good question to ask yourself in terms of like kind of like checking your own self and bringing some self-awareness is to ask yourself, is my decision or my act based in fear or love? And that's what I've been learning in my trauma therapy podcast, whatever, is a lot of the decisions or thoughts that I have are based in fear when I'm in my most panicked state. I'm going to take a shit, or, you know, I have my worst case scenario. And then you'll be like, that's not even happening. Like, you know, like let it go, whatever. And I think for you, a lot of the childhood trauma is based in a lot of fear. And a lack of not getting something, you know, not having enough of something.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting too, like where you carry your weight, and where I carry my weight as well. Because if you carry your weight in your midsection, it means that you're afraid of not getting enough of something. So like when I read in my like book, you eat and eat and eat because you want to fill this void of not having enough, this feeling of not having enough. And so you carry the weight here in the midsection.
I see.
So it's interesting where you should, where one carries their weight in terms of where they're holding on to certain emotions or they're holding on to certain trauma. So with you, it's mostly the midsection. Most of you is slim, except your mid. And then for me as well, it's on the inner thigh, and I think and the mid, and that's that fear of like not having enough of something. So in terms of children, it's like the fear of, oh, am I going to be a good parent because my parents, I feel, were not very good parents. That's your ugliest fear coming out. You don't really believe that, but that's kind of like a subconscious ghost that's on your shoulder that says, are you really going to be a good parent because you hurt that dog that one time, or because you bullied that kid that one time? And they're ghosts that kind of like haunt you and how you are making your decisions. And they're not really true anymore, actually, right? Now you're not like that. You wouldn't do any of that stuff. But you carry the ghost with you. You carry the trauma with you. And now your decision is muddled, it's dirty because you're carrying this thing, right?
Yeah.
So I would say, like, you know, we're having the conversation now, a lot more in-depth conversation about children. And it's like, to me, I'm conditional. If I see that the conditions are right, like a mom should, like, oh, if I'm going to have a child, the conditions need to be a certain way. I'm going to start nesting. I'm going to start taking care of my body. I'm going to start doing this and that, like whatever.
Yeah.
Checkups, vitamins, folic acid, all that shit that you do when you start to prepare. Are the conditions correct, right? So if we're having the real conversation of children, it's a matter of conditions.
Yeah.
I'm conditional. I don't feel right now that I need to have children. I don't feel that. I don't have any pressure. I don't have any feeling of social pressure.
Yeah.
I'm very aware that it's the relationship that I have with you, and what does that mean? And like you said, you can bring up, oh, what's our next phase in our relationship if we're not having children? So obviously there's something that you want to maybe bring up or talk about in yourself and your lack or fear of being a parent. To me, I always felt like I could parent. I could be a good parent, but I would need a partner. To be right there with me, to make all the vows again, to make all the like agreements and all that stuff. Like now that I just have all these lessons in our relationship, it would just be like, oh, we need to do like this, right? And that would be my condition for having children. I think the whole like being scared about old habits or old parenting skill, I think that's always going to be there. And even society, and what kind of world are they going to freaking grow up in? Like, I remember I did when I first started thinking about kids, like when we first started to date and stuff like that. And I was still like, I'm not having kids, but I just researched it anyway because it was so interesting. These documentaries, like The Business of Being Born, and I was like, man, this is fucking scary. But it's all, it's, you know, you can never control any of that. But it's like it's like, yeah, we live in a freaking scary ass world right now. We could lose this. We could die tomorrow. We could And it's the same thing as when you bring
another
life,
Yeah.
right? Sure, it feels a lot more, but the world hasn't really changed that much from when they were not there. It's just your own imposed fears and insecurities with this child seeping into your brain and making you feel all the trauma and all the ghosts. And then all your decision making is like fucked up because you're so tied up and tense in fear.
Yeah.
When you could, and I know this is easier said than done, and I know I'd be like talking out my ass right now because I don't have children, but like I would imagine if you had, you know, just like running a business, we don't know everything that's going to happen in the future. But if I run the business with love and sincerity and good quality and fairness, I'm pretty sure we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Right? Unless something catastrophically godsend came out of nowhere and I don't know, like we died, then the business would die, right? Maybe, like, I don't know. Maybe we have really good people who could actually take it over, I think. Yeah. But yeah, like worst case scenario, dying, you know, it's like, okay, then you died. Like, fuck. That was your time. That's it. That's all you got. That's the card you got dealt. All right. I mean, with the kid thing, same thing. Like, yeah, you don't know what you're going to get, but like.
Yeah, you don't.
That's what it is. That's the game. When you agree, that's the game. You agreed to it. You don't know what you're going to get, but you agreed already. All right. So that's what it is. Mm-hmm. And if you have your own parameters of like, this is not the thing I want, then you take those measures. Because you agreed already. Okay, if this happens, we're going to do this measure.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, to me, I've considered a lot of stuff, for sure. And,
well, you're just conditional.
I'm conditional, yeah. It's not something that I would demand or be like, oh, we never had it, and be like sad and stuff. I'd just be like, oh, we never had it. That's just how it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or we had it, like, oh, what the fuck? You're like, okay,
yeah,
that's what it was, because we set our conditions, right? But it has to be an agreement between us, and I don't ever want that to be one-sided. So if you feel,
it's very hard to picture. It's such a different topic because, you definitely both, you both have to be on the same page, obviously, to want it. But it's hard to picture yourself and who you're going to become when you do have it. That's hard to picture. You can't predict that.
No.
Yeah.
you can, again, you don't know what's going to happen in the future. But again, if you operate from a place of love, from forgiveness and not from fear. Yeah. And I think for you, that's a huge challenge, because that's what I remind you of all the time. It's not that it comes out like that, but that's where my theory is coming from. Is this decision based in fear, or is it based in love? Mm-hmm. And it makes it a lot easier then too, because you can get really confused in your thoughts and be like, I don't know what the fuck I'm feeling right now. Yeah. But if you can dial it down to this binary thing, and it really does come down to that. Are you afraid of something? Are you making this decision because you're afraid, or you're in lack of something, scarcity mindset? Or do you feel abundant? Do you feel love? Do you feel like everything will be okay if I just operate from here? Yeah. And once you can make that binary thing, like a lot of things get easier in your brain. Yeah. Because it could be all like, what? I don't know. Never mind. Like, repress it. And that's what we don't want to do, is be like 20 years from now and be like, shit, we never talked about it. Yeah. Even though we said we talk about it, right? That's scary. That's scary to me, is saying, oh, I thought we talked about it. And you're over here like, I didn't even know what to say. I'll be like so sad. I'll be like, shit. I wanted to hear what you wanted to say. Yeah. I wanted to see what you were observing and maybe, but didn't know how to voice it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So.
No, but in some cases, I'm so comfortable with our lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And then there are times that I feel like,
is this it?
Yeah, is this it? can it just be like this? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm a person that changes a lot as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would get bored of one sport and then hop to another.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Do you accept that about yourself?
About change? That I change often?
Yeah.
Do
you find a problem with that, or?
No, I try not to change, because photography, for once, is like I found something that I actually stuck with for a long time, and I'm like happy that I found something that I can do forever.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's easier to stick with it though because it's your job.
Other than it's a job, it's there's so many aspects to it.
Mm-hmm.
That you can be doing one thing or you can shoot another thing.
Yeah.
Right. So it's always instant gratification.
Yeah.
Versus if it was like martial arts, well, I got tired of it so quickly because it's so repetitive. It's so form based, especially Taekwondo. It was like so form. Like, you got to remember all these forms for every belt. And I got tired of that. I was like, this is boring. Right. And then I'm being tested again in Taekwondo, which is very similar to school. I learn this test and this test when I just want to have fun. I don't want to be tested.
Yeah.
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 So that's why I quit Taekwondo and hopped into like other things.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I'm being tested as if it's like, a kid or something, yeah, then
you would just give up.
No, I'm just trying to picture myself. You can't give up. It's different. It's a human being. It's a life form. You can't give up. It's yours. Yeah.
But you've had the example of somebody walking away.
No. I mean, my dad. Yeah.
So does that trouble you at all?
No, because he's not a kid. He's older than me.
No, I mean him, like maybe not parenting you.
He's, we still communicate.
No, when you were young.
Well, that really didn't bother me that much. He was still there. He still picked me up from school. He still dropped me off. It's not like he was like how some other kids never seen their dad after a divorce. They're like long gone.
Oh, okay.
Or like some of our friends, their dad lives in Vietnam.
So you still see him?
Yeah, I still see him. It's not like I didn't see him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Or else we won't have this connection now, It's like, yeah. Family parties always happen every year, and he's always there to give me a call, like show up to the family party, or he'll drop Steven off at the house and we'll, hang out or something.
Is that how you would parent?
What?
Like your dad?
No.
Oh.
We already know that we don't like how he parents. It's terrible.
Well, I mean, but if that's your first teacher,
yeah.
And if you're telling me that that's how you fear you would be as a parent, how would you change that?
Well, I mean...
Or would you want to change it?
Yeah, of course I want to change it. And, I try to see that when I was, try and mentor Steven. I mean, he's a lot younger. He's like 14 years younger than us, right? He's 15 years younger than you. I mean, he could have been like the kid, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I had a mentality to try be there more present for him, even though he doesn't, we were so many years apart.
Yeah.
Than you and Jenna, right? It's almost like double of you and Jenna. So, yeah, I had to shift my mentality. How can I be a better older sibling? How can I pave the way for this, for my younger brother to learn and not be afraid to approach challenges or when he's going from one grade to another.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I just kind of prepared him in everything. And I mean, there are still things about him that is imperfect, but then that's usually up to him to figure out. But you only can teach that person for,
it's like children.
Yeah. So much. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just rationalized your own fear there.
Yeah. But I would say the thing that was missing, right, is that I didn't physically take care of him.
Yeah, when he was a baby or something.
And all that. Like,
Yeah.
the dirty work. Like, no, I mean, I didn't do that. The only thing I did was just the mental work. Yeah.
Does that scare you, the dirty work?
Not really, because it's just dirty work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like I didn't clean shit for older people in college, though. A baby is a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cuter, too. It's not like an old person.
Yeah, and it's temporary.
It's temporary, yeah.
Yeah, you only have to do it
You're not ending with it.
Yeah, you're not ending with it.
Yeah. That's a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of cousins growing up that, we babysat. Like, my mom had to take care of John, Brian, Andy, and Jason, like, when they were all kids. So it was like, I went through that 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
So that dirty work is not the problem. It's more, what's new is balancing our relationship with a kid. That's the new thing that you can't prepare.
Yeah.
That's something that you just need to make sure your responsibilities are there.
Well, that's how you prepare, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like...
Yeah, like you need to make sure you set time for you and your spouse.
Yeah.
And then the kid has their own time.
Yeah.
You know, and the kid shouldn't overrule your relationship.
Yeah. That would be a big constituent.
Yeah, so and that's the thing. And also what's new is balancing the business, the kid, and your relationship. Yeah. And then you already know, like with what you said, 1 kid is just not enough. You need 2.
Yeah, you probably need 2.
Yeah, and then now you have to balance 2, your relationship and your business.
Yeah.
And then just make sure your business is just one business.
Yeah.
And it's not another business.
Yeah.
And then, it's like having 4 kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. But I think couples who just, as long as they make the agreement, you need to make the agreement.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be really clear and you have to get kind of ugly with it. Like, hey, when it gets freaking ugly, like we still need to prioritize each other.
Yeah.
And like, I think if you set expectations up first.
And you got to still make sure you look sexy.
Yeah.
Like both of you guys.
Yeah,
like,
you got to take care.
Yeah, you have to take care of yourself.
You have to take pride in yourself.
You just can't just let go and like let loose. Like, let everything loose. It's like no.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Or else you're just like the other person just sees you as another tired human being.
Yeah, just another roommate.
Yeah, and you're like, no. That's not attractive.
It's not attractive. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
You got to take care. And people will maybe look at that like, dude, it's a lot of work, but like, it's all worth it, I would say.
And that's what I was like trying to see within yourself, right? And your habits where you're training yourself to exercise or your challenges, right? So if you have a kid, right? These are just my assumptions, you know, like I know you would want to take care of yourself, but then with like health issues and things like that, it's going to prolong it from getting where you want to be.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would see like sometimes people, they had to deal with a lot of issues because they kind of make these illnesses within their body because they're too distracted with themselves.
Yeah.
They're too egocentric, maybe narcissistic. And when you have something else to focus on and give yourself or be of service to something else, like a child per se or a business or whatever, like you stop being so introspective. Like, yes, be introspective as being like self-aware, but not like being so self-absorbed.
Yeah.
You know, like thinking the world revolves around you.
Yeah.
Which is the fault of all humans. We're all pretty much egocentric.
Yeah.
But if you can give yourself in service to something else, that you could like break that cycle and rise above all of these weird sort of issues that you have, like say anxiety or something like that, because you got a life on the line, basically, you know. I would see that in some other cases when I was doing like my research and stuff, how parenting changed them, or how becoming a parent changed them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, because you just never know. Like, it will change you. Hopefully for the better. Like, you got a good foundation.
Yeah.
Hopefully for the better, right?
Yeah.
Or you have the will to be better and to learn and all that stuff. And to take it just as seriously as like, hey, this is a new business. We're going to make mistakes, but we're going to learn, right? We're going to get better. And when we hit our 5 years, when we hit our 10 years, like, we're going to be a well-oiled machine. Like, same thing. I think the same idea could be like kind of transferred into parenting. You don't become perfect, but you get better at it all the time.
Yeah.
If you're willing, you know.
Yeah.
If you have the willingness to learn, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough.
But yeah, I mean, that was pretty good conversation. Yeah, I think, you know, to just get the more and more the truth, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I was waiting for you to like,
huh?
What does that mean for me, you know? Because I basically said not having children because I don't think you are ready for it.
Yeah.
You know? Or that you're willing to go there with me.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what I said. And I already knew it doesn't sound very loving. It's almost a hurtful thing to say. Mm-hmm. But it's truthful, right? And I wanted you to think, like, oh, what does that mean?
That's you saw it, so that's great.
Yeah, but like,
thank you,
but
bye.
Again, thank you, bye. Yeah, it's conditional. It's not like I'm forcing you to have children or something. Or like, all of a sudden you want children. No, that's not. Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just explaining my thought process.
Yeah, I mean, there are times like, you know, like you always say, yeah, go hang out with your friends and stuff, but all my friends are all tied up with their kids. I'm like, shit, like, and that's why they have kids, huh? To hang out with their kid. And I'm like, shit, who else am I going to hang out with? Like,
yeah, it's true.
My college buddy that's still in college. Cut that out. He listens.
I guess.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's cool that I get to hang out with Steven, but then there will be a time when Steven will grow up, you know, and I'll be old as fuck, but yeah.
I see. So kind of, do you feel like you're missing out a little bit?
I mean, things why I like the pros of having kids, it brings everyone together. I like that feeling of family coming together, right? And I see that in like our friends, like when they're in-laws and they're, you know, they all come together and hang out. Yeah, and they're there for each other. Yeah. Or like when Michelle had Nolan for the first time, and then you just see Michael and Angelica just supporting her, and her mother's just there. You know? So it's cool. And then then their family got closer, and you know, everyone was always there for each other. Yeah. So that's where I kind of see the pros. It's cool, and then you get to have all these memories with your family involved and everything. Yeah. So I mean, I like that aspect.
Yeah, the family aspect.
But as a hangout bud, probably when, you know, if that person's older, but that's something that you can't expect right now. It's not like it's the baby's born and then it's like 3 years old. Let's go out to the waters and just throw you in there. No. Yeah.
I'm sure people do that.
Yeah, I don't.
I always see that, you know, I watch the Bart and Gia vlogs, right?
Yeah.
So he's always hanging out with his little baby.
Yeah.
And he's always like, you know, Bart, right? So he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to hang out with my best bud right now.
Yeah.
With our baby.
Yeah.
The baby's like 2 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they go out and they hike and They just do things.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just carries him, or to the water or to the lake or hiking or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're like best buds right now in the vlogs.
But then at the same time, I also see when one parent is just way too attached to the kid and they totally forgot about everyone else. I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
To the point that, you can't even touch your friend anymore.
Yeah.
It's
Well, like I'm saying, you got to have good bones. You got to talk the whole thing out.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't be perfect, I guess, but
yeah.
You already have clear examples of where you see problems that would arise. So you would discuss it and you would be like, we're going to do these things. Like, this is our plan for this.
Yeah, I see like the baby's new and it needs a lot of attention.
Yeah.
At these early stages, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that's just probably me being selfish that now my buddies aren't there. With a phone call away, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, when all of our older friends were having children, and we were like, oh, yeah, we can't hang out. We have kids or whatever.
I remember it was so easy for Nathan and I just to hang out. Like, hey, yeah. But then now there's like...
Gotta have a sitter.
Yeah, there's a sitter. There's a schedule.
Yeah.
If I'm not doing this, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I mean, that's good that he prioritized family. All of our friends prioritize family first, and that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how everyone should be.
That's how it is, yeah.
That's how it should be, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how it should be. I mean, if you choose not to have children, then that's what it is,
No,
but you can't
I'm just
expect
saying that
everybody.
when they have kids, they are doing the right thing and prioritizing
they're definitely doing the
first.
right thing, yeah.
Yeah.
They're just taking care.
Mm-hmm. So, and then I think about that, and I'm like, it's like
I want to do that.
it's a teeter-totter, like some of those things you're willing to give it up and do it, but then there are times that I'm like perfectly fine that.
I think it's because you don't have a child.
Yeah.
I think we'll never really have
I do see
understand what they feel.
I do see it sometimes going in and out because Qual is like the last person on earth right now that I know
to hang out with.
That's available to hang out, but he still has a kid.
Because she's older though.
But then the moment that he has to hang out with this kid, then that's where it feels a little off balance for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It should be. I mean, all of his attention should be on his
Of course,
daughter.
yeah. But then I feel like, oh, okay, so am I missing something?
Oh.
Yeah.
What do you mean, like?
Yeah, like, is this how it feels when you choose the lifestyle of not having a kid?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I go over there and start bothering you, and you're like, no more attention. Like, I need my
You're
space.
here all the time.
I need my space.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that. And then I'm like, okay.
Who do I hang out with?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So you don't have any friends that you can hang out with?
Well, they're all freaking...
No, they all have kids.
They're all tied up.
Yeah. I see.
I'm not going to go back to college to find youngsters to hang out with. No way.
So finding friends.
No, not finding friends, but I'm just letting you know that's the decision and everything of what what I'm currently thinking of, and
yeah.
I
think it's I mean, that's what it is. It's like you're free. You're free to do what you want.
Yeah,
and others aren't.
Yeah,
and
that's why all the energy goes into like wanting to open other businesses.
Yeah. Because you don't have an outlet for your
the outlet
energy.
goes somewhere else. The outlet will become more creative and wanting to open doors to other businesses. And that's why most entrepreneurs, like, they're so into their world.
Yeah. But you already know when you open another business, everything else will suffer.
Yeah.
So you need a better outlet, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Yeah, you got to figure out that outlet. That's a solo venture.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I still want to play sports, right? So I have to outlet that energy into something else.
I mean, my outlet's there to support your passion in coffee roasting, but it's at its own pace.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tamed right now.
I mean, yeah, it's not anything near to what you probably need.
Yeah.
Which is male camaraderie. You need to be doing something active or something like that. What?
I know. I get like some sort of addiction of seeing success when a business is picking up. Like when I see sales, it's a motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see something, and that pumps me up. It's like a really great outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. You can do that with your own business. With the
Well,
one that's already in business.
Well, I know. I mean, I'm doing it.
You can go crazy there.
But yeah. All right, cool.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in this Monday. I'm Kevin.
I'm Meg.
And this is Past the Aisle. And you can check us out on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Anchor, and all the social medias.
Yeah. All right, cool.
All right. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.